Is network marketing something that you want to get into? Hello again, everybody. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. Today I'm going to explain to Eli and you about my experiences with network marketing, and I have had some, to help you make some judgments about whether it's something that you do want to get into, and if you do, I'm going to explain to you the best ways to go about doing it. All right? You know, Eli, there's different sorts of marketing plans out there, and a lot of people like to get into areas where they don't have a whole lot of money to invest, but they want to see kind of a big upside. And network marketing is one of the things that promises or gives you the expectation that that's something that you can accomplish. And in some cases it is. All right, I had some success with network marketing. First of all, let me explain to you briefly what network marketing is, okay, to make it very clear for you. A company has a product or a service that they offer, and they're not marketing it in the mainstream in stores or things like that. And what they do is they have individuals go out and market to other individuals, and that's one way of making money. When you sell the product, of course, you get a commission on that. And then the other thing about network marketing is the way the people that make the big money make it is by having people that they bring into the business, and what they do is when every time one of them sells the product or service, they get commissioned on that also. And so the idea is if you can not only sell the product yourself, but more importantly, have other people selling the product for you that you brought into the business, that's how you're going to make your money. All right. Now, first of all, let's talk about what kind of products you might want to be looking for and what kind of products you might not want to be looking for if you do decide to get into network marketing. First of all, it doesn't seem to me, and all this is just my own empirical observation, my own opinion, okay? And I'm sure there are other people that have other opinions, but I'm just giving you, Eli, the benefit of my experience and my opinion. If the product that's being marketed is something that you have to go out and buy a whole bunch of them, and then you sell it and you make money from that, that's not what I recommend getting into. The best way to do it is, why should you have to put out any kind of expense in order to go out and find people to purchase the product or find people that you want to bring on board? All right, and a lot of companies, you purchase, a ton of their product, you store it, you put it away, you buy it at a discount, you sell it for more money. You know what? Typically, what my experience with that has been is that when a company does that, what they're doing is the people on the top are making the money and not the people that are out there doing the selling. All right, so I don't really recommend that. Let me start off with that negative. On the other hand, if the product or service is something that you would buy yourself, you say to yourself, you know what? That's a really good thing. Now, there's certain things, there's like, I don't know, a lot of diets are very big, weight products, different services, car services are big, legal services are big. If you can get a discount legal service, so you don't, because lawyers are tremendously expensive, that type of thing. So there's, different services that are out there that people have a need for, all right? But the thing is that you want to make sure that it's something that you yourself can believe in. You have to have a passion, say, boy, I really could use that. That's something that I would need, and I can see that other people would need it also. So that is like a very, very key element. All right. Now, one of the other things you have to keep in mind is that when you enter, quote unquote, the business, what do you really know about it? As an example, if there were, and I know that there isn't, but let's say, for example, that there was a network marketing firm that said, you're going to perform medical functions. You're going to help people fix broken legs or broken arms or tonsillectomies or something medical. You don't know how to do that. So that's not something that you know, and you really can't be trained to do that unless you go to medical school for 900 years and learn all the things that doctors have to learn, all the studying that they have to do, all the practicing that they have to perform. So you have to make sure that it's something that's a simple concept, that's easy to understand, that you can convey from yourself to somebody else. Now, when the key element of network marketing, the way that people make the most money in network marketing is, of course, bringing other people underneath them that go out and sell the product, and they bring other people underneath them, and so you get an override on this, you get an override on them, you get an override on the people that they bring in, so on and so forth. So what are the key elements here? Well, first of all, you have to realize that if you are going to get into network marketing, you know, some people say, oh, you know, you just do a couple of hours a week. If you just do a couple of hours a week, you're not going to make it. You have to have the passion. You have to be dedicated to it. You know, most people, virtually all people, when they start off, they have their own regular job and they put in other hours into the network marketing side. But you can't go into it with a casual commitment. You have to make a decision, and you have to set goals for yourself. Boy, this does sound kind of like the success formula, doesn't it? All right, you have to make a decision. You have to visualize yourself achieving this, 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 and this. You have to have goals. Now, one of the things about network marketing is they will, especially in the beginning, give you certain goals to set. They'll say, well, some places say you have to come up with 100 names or 200 names or people that you know or whatever. Keep in mind, the biggest aspect of network marketing is finding prospects, prospecting. If you don't have prospects, there's nobody to sell anything to. And what happens in a lot of cases is, now some people go into it with a passionate mindset, and then they start talking to all their friends, their relatives, their neighbors, so on and so forth. And you want to do that, but you don't want to do that and be kind of anal about it, where that's all you're talking about, because that's the way people quickly lose their friends, their relatives, and their neighbors as acquaintances, all right, or as relationships. Because when people see you coming, they go, uh-oh, here he is, he's going to be talking to us about that network marketing thing. I really don't want to talk about it. So what you need to do is when you have conversations with people, kind of feel them out, see where they are and what their dreams, their desires, their goals, their ambitions are. And if your particular product or service fits in with that, then that's a person that you kind of want to talk to. It's kind of as simple as that. Now, the key is that you have to speak to a whole number of people, because it's a numbers game. Mathematically speaking, you're going to talk to some people. They may have a casual interest in what you're talking about, but they're not going to be passionate about it. And if someone's not passionate about it, if you're not passionate about it, it's not going to happen. So one of the things you have to remember is when you find someone that is interested, you don't want to be the one that's making the presentation to them. I know that sounds strange, but it's a big problem in network marketing, that a lot of times people they go out and they try and explain everything all at once, and you have to understand the question that your prospect is asking himself or herself. These are the questions they're asking. Number one, do I like the product? Do I see that it fulfills a need? Is it something that I would want for myself? Can I see where it could become a mainstream thing? Could I get behind that? That's question number one. Number two, they'll look at you and they'll say, do I want to be him? Or do I want to be her? Do I want to do the things that this person does? All right, so a lot of times when you have people making presentations, they say, oh yeah, well, I have my house, and there's my summer house in the Swiss Alps, and my winter house in the Caribbean, and so on and so forth, in an effort to say, boy, I want to be him, I want to be her, I want to have those kind of riches. I understand that's the reasoning behind that. I mean, that's not all that difficult to figure out. So they say, do I want to be him? Do I want to be her? Is the product something that I can get behind, that I can feel passionate about? And another thing that they're always asking, is that something that I can do? So the main questions are, can I feel passionate about the product? Do I want to be him or her? And is that something that I can do? I ran into that kind of an issue myself when I first got started, because I had some pretty good sales skills, and I called a whole bunch of my friends and relatives together for a meeting in my house. And even though they told me, don't be the one doing it yourself, I'm a big shot, I'm a know-it-all, I know everything, and I found out that I didn't. So I stood up in front and I gave a rousing presentation. It was really good. But what happened was, the question that the people in the audience were asking themselves was, can I do what Eli's dad is doing? And then they said to themselves, I don't have those kind of sales skills, I can't do that. So I didn't get very much interest. So you got to learn from that. So how do you overcome that? Well, what you do is you have the person that brought you into the business, or if the company has a weekly meeting, or somebody that is designated to be the presenter, that you have that person make the presentation to your prospects. Because then you say, look, here's what you do. You go out, you find somebody that's interested, but you don't go into a big presentation. What you do is you bring that person, you say, look, you know, this is going to take a half an hour of your time, an hour of your time. If I could show you where, you know, an hour of your time, you might be in a position to get into a business where you could make a couple of extra $1,000 a month, would that be something that would be worth an hour of your time? All right, and if the person is really interested, they're going to say yes. All right, so you take that person and you bring them by the hand, you pick them up, and you bring them to the meeting, you bring them to that person's house, and you physically do that. All right, you don't say, all right, here's the address, I'll meet you there. No, you go to their house and you pick them up. Because what will happen is, a lot of times people will find a reason for, oh, this came up or that came up. But if you physically go and pick them up, it's a lot easier to get people to that meeting. Trust me on this. All right. Secondly, when you bring them to the meeting, all you do is you go, you introduce them, say, this is Mr. Jones. So, you know, that person will come out and introduce themselves. Let them make the presentation. Why? Because then you can say to your prospect, how easy was that? What did I do? I showed you a little bit about the product. You liked it. You had some interest. All right. And I took that interest, and all I did was bring you to this meeting, and I let this person who specializes in making these kind of presentations do the selling for you. Do the selling for me, rather. All right. What did you think? Was it a good presentation? And if the person gets all excited, and if that person up in front of the room is worth their salt at all, then that person's going to be excited. That's the big thing. You don't want to make the presentation. You want to bring that person to someone else, let them do it, and then when you do that, they say, I can do that. That's something that I can do. But the key element in network marketing is the prospecting. And so you have to have, you know, think of a way. When I got into the network marketing, and I kind of screwed up my first one, but when I got into my second one, I looked at it and I said, I need to figure out a way, I need to figure out an audience, I need to figure out what people I'm going to approach. Because, you know, it's great that you go and they always tell you, write down 100 names or 200 names, but you run out of people that way very quickly. So you need to figure out, where can you go, what can you do, what kind of approach you're going to make. Now, a lot of times the company will have a suggestion for you. They'll have tools that you can use. That was what I kind of like to do, was they had a CD, and rather than, you know, and in today's times, of course, and I haven't done this for a while, you know, back then, there wasn't such a great internet presence like there is right now, and I'm sure that they have everybody has things online, you know, here's the website, or I'll email it to you, all you have to do is click on it and watch it. You know, if I do that, we watch it. Somebody approached me, a lady that I know, and said, you know, I want to send you this, will you watch it? And will you give me your opinion? You give me your advice on it? And I said, sure, I'll watch it for you. So she sent me the link, you know, and there was like difficulty even just sending me the link. Now, I was, you know, I made the promise, so I was going to do it. But a lot of times, if there's any kind of difficulty with the link, what do you suppose is going to happen? People say, forget about it. All right, I prefer, now, and once again, they didn't have a whole lot of internet stuff when I was doing this. I did this, 20 years ago. It's been a while since I did the network marketing. But the point is, I like to hand out CDs, and even at that time we handed out cassettes, because people in their car, they either had like a CD player or a cassette player in their cars, and people have that today for the most part. And the thing about that is, I'd say, look, you're driving from point A to point B, and you're listening on the radio to music, the news, the sports channel, whatever you're listening to. Can you do both of us a favor? And here's the favor I want to ask you. If I were to give you this CD, would you put it on, and while you're driving in your quantity time anyway, driving from point A to point B, give it a listen? You're not doing anything anyway, give it a listen. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's great too. All right? So that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for an honest opinion. You make sure that you have on all of your materials your name, your phone number, your email address, things that are going to identify you. You want to know why? Because sometimes these tools get passed around from person to person to person, and it's not necessarily the person that you handed it to that listens to it and gets all excited about it. I had several people that, I didn't even know who they were, call me up and said, I got a hold of this tape and it had your name on it and it sounds like something very intriguing. Can you tell me more about it? Well, sure I can, sir. So that's the point. So, make sure that you have your name on those things. And you want to make a commitment to yourself every day. Once again, it's goal setting. It's goal setting. You want to make a certain number of sales. And if you're going to make a certain number of sales, you have to make a certain number of contacts. So you have to say to yourself, I'm going to make a minimum of, I used to say 10 every single day. I'm going to hand out tools, or I'm going to talk to 10 people or whatever. And once again, talk to your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, all right? But don't be oppressive about it, or you're going to lose them relationship-wise. But you're going to have to develop sort of a strategy of approaching people that you don't know. So what do you do when you're doing that? Is you look for things that you have in common. You make a joke about something. You compliment somebody on something. You just start up a conversation. And that's a skill that a lot of people don't have, and that's a skill that a lot of people say, oh, I could never do that. Well, if you can't do that, then this is probably not the business for you, all right? But you have to, if you're passionate about something, if you really believe in something, there are people out there that are panhandlers, all right? Now, do you think people wake up in the morning and they say, oh boy, do I want to go out and panhandle and beg people for money? Do you suppose people do that? They don't do it for that. Why do they do it? They do it because they have to, because they've made a personal commitment to themselves that they're going to eat, or in some cases that they're going to drink or take drugs or whatever reason they panhandle. But the point is, they made some sort of commitment to themselves that they need to acquire money in order to get what it is that they want. Well, once you make that decision, once you make that commitment, then what you want to do is, if you're not that skillful in that and you're determined to do it, work with somebody. Find somebody that's good at that and go out with them and watch them do it. Practice. When you're talking to people is a skill. But what you want to do, the most important thing is you want to draw the people out that you're talking to. You want to listen to them. You want to ask them questions. And in the sales, I made some sales tapes, videos rather, and I recommend that you go back and you take a look, especially at the one where you're talking about approach and the warm-up, because I go over the different skills, the different questions, how to ask them, and I'll leave a couple of links down there that you can look at if you want to know how to do that. So anyway, as far as network marketing is concerned, if you're in a position where you don't have a lot of money to invest, but you have a lot of ambition, you can find a product that you can, grasp, hold on to, love, be passionate about. If you can find someone to work with you on that product, if you have the wherewithal to go out and start talking to people, if you have the patience to physically go take people and bring them to the meetings, so that you let the company do the recruiting, so that you show people that, hey, you don't need to have a whole ton of skills. What you need is a whole bunch of want to, a whole bunch of desire, a whole bunch of determination. It's just like anything else. So that's our little talk on network marketing. So it's up to you. It's not to be candid with you, it's not my preferred method of making a living, but I did it. I was somewhat successful at it. I became one of the top producers in the company, and it just, in the end, wasn't the thing that I was, excited about doing. However, there were a lot of people one of the people that I trained as a manager is a real big shot in network marketing right now. And when I lost touch with him, and he and I got back together, and we were both working with the same company. He says, I really wanted to get in touch with you. It's too bad that you're already doing this with somebody else. All right, but he's been doing it for 18 years. So just because it's not my particular cup of tea doesn't mean that it may not be your cup of tea. And you'll hear good things, you'll hear bad things, so on and so forth about network marketing. But it's like anything else. It's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So anyway, take my advice about making sure that it's a product you're passionate about. It's something you don't have to buy before you go out and sell it. That it's something that person decides they want the product or service. Then it's not something you have stored in your warehouse. Okay? So anyway, that's our story on network marketing. And because we never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and charge. I'm Eli's dad.